we want to sort of interrogate the auctions that has been going on in the builder market and ask what would be the ideal outcome and how far away from the ideal and what might be the consequences. A little bit about myself and my group at Yale. I'm an assistant professor at Yale CS, and we work on security and privacy problems, mainly in decentralized distributed systems. Some of the security and privacy problem ties, nicely to there's a, game theoretic or a mechanism design aspect, which is, what brings me here. But okay, so the subject is, once again, the builder market and the PBS. The reason that PBS is desired is, ideally, what should the builder do? Ideally, the hope is that the builders compete, and they beat most of their math in the revenue in their bids, and therefore the validators collect the auction revenue, and therefore they benefit from the math, proportionally to their stake. So this is the ideal, but the reality is the market, first of all, is highly centralized. We have seen this graph once. 3 or 2 months ago, when I gave the same talk, I will say top 3 builders build 90% of the talk. Now, several months later, it becomes top 2. So the trend, not only the the number, but the trend is very obvious. Another concerning trend is the amount of MAV that's kept by the builders. Ideally, right, if they compete, they should be the most of the MAV away. But you can see that the increasingly amount of a percentage of MAV is actually kept by the builders. We are talking about a rapid increase starting earlier this year, and recently, for example, last week, top 1 builder Titan made 1,000 ETH, and top 2 made Beaver build made 500 ETH. In comparison, all of the proposers together, they made 4,000 ETH. So it's far from beating most of the MAV in their bids. So it's this centralization is thought to be sort of fine. It's not a problem as long as the validators are decentralized, which is what PBS aims to achieve by distributing by running the auction and solicit competition. But is centralized block building indeed not an issue? So there's short-term problems, which is already pretty significant. Builders could censor transactions, right? Some previous talk mentioned how they can censor Tornado Cash transactions or other transactions that may, they could also benefit from censoring transactions for a financial gain. And also builders could mount front-running attacks. I think this issue is less well understood, but I've heard from multiple sources that they highly suspect that their smart transactions somehow got front-run, but they send it only to a specific builder, and so there's really no other explanation than the builders themselves are. And lastly, if the builders are, if someone come up with a nice mechanism that improves the decentralization, but maybe at the cost of builders' revenue, I think there's a concern that the builders may boycott such improvements by censoring the transaction or not somehow not processing those transactions. But our paper focuses on focused on a more long-term problem. That's a problem. That's a problem I want invite all of you to think about and trying to solve it, because we presented these problems, but we don't have a solution. Okay, the problem is that the miners' share from this PBS auction, it diminishes over time. So builders become more and more profitable. So the implication number 1 is that this PBS process, if proposers are not getting enough from the auction, right, they are gonna consider building blocks by themselves. This is defeating the purpose of PBS, which is to trying to encourage builders, proposers to be separate from the builders. Okay. Implication number 2 is that there's several proposed protocols that use the auction revenue as an oracle to measure how much math there is in the system.
Do you know why there's so much concentration of the builders?
I would try to try to explain it. How much time? Yeah. So yeah, implication number 2 is that if the revenue is not, if the builder keeps a lot, then the revenue is going to be an underestimate of the math oracle. Okay. So yeah, our work aims to kind of quantify the loss incurred by the proposer, and understand its causes, and initiate the exploration of mitigation. So the first question, I will quickly show some high-level results. First, the question is, right? So why would this auction? Why might be this auction? What could be the reason that auction is not is not competitive? Is not causing the builders to spend all of the math? It could be, right, due to that there's not a competition, or it could be due to the fact that builders just have very different true values, right? If they have very different true values, then the best you can get is the second highest price, but not the first highest true value. So the question is, which of the two factors more dominating? And our measurement result shows that the latter is dominant factor. The auction itself is competitive, but the winner is simply so much more powerful than the second guy, so they don't need to really bid that much higher to win. So then, what caused the builders to have different true values? This is echoing Denning's presentation. Much of it comes from these exclusive order flows. Builders get exclusive order flows by, for example, reaching closed-door deals with Telegram bots, with wallets, and so on. So, we also discussed several other questions. Will builders join, new builders join the market, and they sort of break up this centralization? It seems unlikely, because the exclusive order flow enjoys a pretty strong incentive. In that, right, if the order flow and the builder, if they form exclusive order flow relationship, they could save their profit, and they could avoid the competition, and therefore the revenue saved by avoiding the competition can be basically shared by the two ends of the exclusive relationship. Is PBS stable in the long term? Well, remember that all validators earn about 4,000 last week. If your stake is significantly high, well, you should really consider, reconsider the fact that you are using PBS, because building a block might be better off, and it doesn't seem so hard to do it, because much of the work of the builders is to collect the transactions. And we recently observed that one of the validators started the block building business. We don't know why, but we are curious to see if more and more validators start doing that.
So if there's all these private deals, how do you know that the builders are actually earning that much and not paying it away to the Telegram bots or whatever? Are these upper bounds on how much they earn, or do you observe how much they pay for the order flow?
So you mean the
top two builders made 1,500, right? But you don't observe how much they paid in this private.
Yeah, this is the upper bound.
Maybe they're making close to zero. Who knows, right?
That
And if you could give a final word and then maybe answer the question later.
okay, let me get back to that. Yeah. Okay, so a final word is that this is a call for an action. This is, I think there's several serious problems because of the centralized builder market, and we really don't have a good solution. And I think the solution will be an interdisciplinary one. So I want to, invite all of you to think about it.